So that was math. Now English. For English, what I was looking for this year was the life of Fred of English. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of different programs out there that will tick the mark for that, but the one I was most attracted to is actually quite pricey. Of all the things I've bought this year, this was the most expensive one. I never have a homeschool budget. My homeschool budget is find a budget, and so I just purchase things slowly throughout the year. And there is a program I've been eyeing up for a while, and it is by a guy called Michael Clay Thompson. And when I looked at it, I was just so drawn to it. I was like, where is that program that is the Life of Fred equivalent in English language arts? And this is the one that I gravitated to. So just to give you some context, we don't do a formal writing program or formal English language arts program. We just do the grammar element of it. And I know there's lots of different theories about, most people deal with grammar like it's a really boring subject, so therefore kind of learn it when they're older. But I was really attracted to Michael Clay Thompson's approach to it. He himself is an English teacher, and he's so passionate about English, and thinks it's, I love English, but he's so passionate about grammar, I should say, and thinks it's a really fun subject to learn, and he approaches it like that. And we had found a program last year that was kind of similar to that called Grammarland. It's just a storybook about the parts of speech, and my daughter loved it. And we kind of took a little bit of a Waldorf approach to it, where we did we did it as a read aloud, but then we also drew characters to go with the story, and it became an art project, and it was lovely, and it really worked for her. So I wanted something to take it to the next level. So she did really well in her parts of speech, and she knows them. So now we're moving on to Grammar Island, and this is, like I said, by Michael Clay Thompson. It is a literature-based grammar program, so it's done in story form. It's very like Life of Fred. It's very worksheet light, i.e. there are no worksheets essentially in Life of Fred at all. There are some in this program. So what you do is you read, hold on, let's go through. You read a story to your child. They get to see the pictures, pretty pictures, but you're reading a story. And what it does is, rather than going through loads of worksheets, you are promoting discussion, and have a lot of discussion about the text and the pictures and the content herein. And so we're going to go through that. In addition to this book, there's a few books in this program. So you've got Grammar Island. You go through this. Once you've gone through the story in Grammar Island, your child should have a good grasp of all of the grammar concepts and how they start to work together to make a sentence. And that will then take you on to this book, which is called Practice Island. And now this is the workbook. So essentially the child, you don't have to go through all of it, but the child will go through a few sentences, however frequently you do it. And they're essentially doing what's called a 4-part analysis. And what I like about this program is I love that it's a literature-based program. Before I go into what I like about it, then you got another book. Look how fat this book is. And this book is about sentences. So this is how to write a good sentence. But again, it is a story. It's a whole literature-based program. This is a story you read to the child. And you go along and you discuss what's happening in the story with the child. It is a story, and I love that about it. And again, with Life of Fred being such a win, I'm hoping, because you never know with homeschool programs, you see all the glossy promotion on it, you watch a few reviews by other mums, and you kind of and the proof of the pudding's always in the eating, right? So you kind of hope it will work with your child, or that you can adapt it to work with your child, and that they don't have a terrible aversion to it. But I can't, I think this is a good choice up front. I'll let you know as we go through it how well it works. But so we're going through the whole grammar island, practice island, sentence island comes next. And there's also another component called music of the hemispheres, which is a discussion about poetry and introducing the child to different authors like Emily Dickinson, etc. And discussing different poetry concepts like onomatopoeia. I can't say it. Onomatopoeia, is that the way you say it? Etc. So we're going to go through that. And I'm really excited about it. And what I love about it is it's presented in a form that's really appealing to children, i.e. it's in a story, a literature-based form. But in addition to that, it's challenging as well. And I like that. That works for my daughter. I think something that has rigor and that is challenging, but is presented in a way that's fun and is engaging and promotes questions and intellectual discussion. So where we can just go down all these little thought trails that come up, these little rabbit holes and stuff that we can just follow wherever it goes. So I like the idea of that. So we'll see how we get on with those, but that is what we've chosen, is the Michael Clay Thompson series. It is pricey, but I did manage to pick them up secondhand on abooks.co.uk is where I got them from. So I just looked out, and when they popped up and they were at a reasonable price with reasonable shipping, I would purchase a book. So I purchased them slowly over a period of time. But on the back of us studying poetry, another book I got, I really fell in love with this. When I was younger, I kind of had a bit of a crush on Tupac Shakur. I think he's got such a beautiful face, lovely eyes. But anyway, I picked this up as well because we kind of have a little box of what poetry is. And, this, if you just read his music, that his poetry that he does over music, does over beats. And when you just read it, some of his poetry is beautiful. Not all of it is child friendly, but I think some of these we will select and also just read as part of our poetry tea times, as well as some other traditional poems. So I wanted a choice of having some your traditional poems, but also some non-traditional stuff as well, some contemporary poetry. So we've also got that as well. This is as much for me as it is for her. What's next? Next we have spelling. So spelling is something we need to work on. Again, I'm not too hung up on it, which is why I don't have a formal spelling curriculum. I'm not really into the let's go through the lists and spell a word and do a test at the end of the week. It's not really our style. We've tried stuff like that, but we just never stick with it. So I just don't see, I'd rather do some stuff that we can do well and stay committed to, rather than do stuff that we think we should do and then we just fall off just because we both are dying of boredom. So I saw this book. Again, it's pretty pricey for what it is, but it looks like a good book. So it's written by a young lad. He was 9 3/4. Alexander Mole. Yeah, Alexander Mole. He was 9 3/4 when he wrote this book. And it's a bunch of different spelling strategies that take words and got different ways of breaking apart the word to make it more memorable and easier for the child to remember. And I've just noticed with my daughter, whenever it is presented in a story form, a game form, or as a trick, spelling tricks, or kind of spelling tricks to spelling, it tends to, they're like, yay, okay, I'm ready to, they're more ready to roll with that. So we are going to be using this. So this is how it looks like inside. Let me see if I can open it. So this is the young man that wrote it, and it just says, like, for example, necessary. This is one of the methods in the book, the split method. Is similar to how we memorize telephone numbers. So this is one of the concepts in the book. So we'll be using that. Handwriting. Oh, I struggle with finding handwriting books for my daughter. And the reason why I struggle with finding handwriting books for my daughter is because her writing is quite mature for her age. So she tends to fall in the category of not that sort of 9 to 11-year-olds in where she's at with her handwriting, even though she's only 7. And she writes quite small for her age, whereas a lot of children her age, their writing's still quite big. So I struggle to find writing programs, because obviously I want to keep challenging her, keep stretching her to take it to the next level. But at the same token, when it's in the 9 to 11 category, what's required of her to write is maybe too challenging. The writing itself, no, but the text, the amount of text that she's required to copy is a bit too much. So I kind of found a middle of the road one, I hope. So I picked up this one, Getty Debay, and this has italic writing. It's book D. She's probably would benefit more from one of the higher levels like E, because I think the beginning of the book is not going to really work for us, purely because it's still working with italic print, so it's not in cursive yet. So, but it gets into cursive about halfway through maybe less than halfway through, part 2, it starts to get into the cursive. So that part of the book is print, and maybe the thicker half of the book is cursive. So we'll start from here onwards. But the other thing that was in here that I really liked is, and that she really liked and has already started using it, she had looked through, is they do the capital letters. We really liked how they did the capital letters. So I'm trying to see if I can find those. Oh yeah, they're here. So let's get to the beginning. Yeah, so she really liked the italic style of capital letters. So this is how they do the A. This is how they do the B and D, and so on and so forth. And she really liked that. So I thought it'd be good for her to learn that style, because I want to keep it to, I prefer the UK style cursive writing, and or the italics. So I thought she's got the UK style cursive writing pretty down, so let's kind of fancy it up a little bit with italics cursive. So that is what we're going to be using for that. And then for reading, finally, we are going to be, so we have been doing the Mensa for Kids Excellence in Reading program, and we're going to just continue on with that. So we're into the chapter books on that now. She is currently reading this one, The 100 Dresses. This is a really good book so far. It's like really it's a really lovely story. We're both really enjoying this, and it's provoking a lot of conversation about how people treat each other. So this has been a really good book. We're enjoying this. I'm enjoying listening to her. This is a book, right, I'm waffling. The books we do on the Mensa for Kids Excellence in Reading program are books she reads to me, and we read from this every day. And these are some other ones I've picked up. What I do is I'll buy maybe like 4 books at a time, And then when she's gone through them, or when she's nearly originally got like one book to go, I'll buy another set. So I just don't buy all of them at once. So other ones on the list that we haven't read yet that we still need to read are The Tale of Peter Rabbit, The Littles, Winnie the Pooh, How the Leopard Got Its Claws. When we've gone through these, I will, when she's completed those, I will purchase the next titles, the next set of titles on the list. And I've actually organised the list for myself. Is I took the list, I put it into a spreadsheet. So basically the list is in alphabetical order, and I took the list and put it into a spreadsheet by order of, I arranged it by pagination and by age as well. I looked online just to check what age ranges they fit into. So I was able to order the books from kind of roughly easiest to hardest. So we've gone through all of the essentially the ones that are picture books, easy readers first. Now we're moved into slightly harder readers, chapter books, etc. So we're on these now until we get through to much longer chapter books. So that's how we're working through through that program. And then when she finishes a book, she writes it up in this, which is her little book review report. Looks like that. I'll show you a blank page. Blank page looks like that. So she has to put in the title, the author, whether it's fiction, non-fiction, write something about the book, write why she would or wouldn't recommend it, date it, mark it out of 10, and here's a space for her to draw a picture as well. And that's what we're doing for English, English grammar and reading.